What's going on, everybody? It's FREEDO here for Your Overwatch. Today, doing a different kind of video series that I'm going to be calling Ranked Mode Adventures, because we all know you get into these ranked games where you're not only figuring things out with how you're going to play, but getting your role sorted on your team, dealing with all sorts of weird issues. It will also give me the opportunity to discuss why multiple DPS is so strong right now. I know many of you, when you hear that, say, well, my teammates have thought it's been strong forever. But in all seriousness, there's a lot of cases in the game's balance right now where having a balanced 2-2-2 is one of the worst things you could do. And our first example comes up right here in this first team fight, where I'm sure my teammate would prefer me to be on Zarya to try to combo with his Rhine, but it doesn't do anything against a bunker comp like this, whereas Wrecking Ball does a lot. I know a lot of you guys have trouble with these fortified defenses, and the weird thing is just taking angles against it with lots of DPS sources is the key. So ideally what we would want is my Winston player to go Diva or just another damage source that can survive, surround with me, get away on his own, all the while dealing damage and spinning in circles like I'm going to do to this Bastion comp. I mean, they have to just switch off this immediately. If the enemy fails to stun me or lock me down as I start to displace them, their entire team comp just can't work. And that's why often you would want to play with a Diva, because that's the only way you can guarantee the Wrecking Ball going through and eating the stuns and sleeps. But in the solo queue environment, as long as you try to surprise or dodge those threats, you'll still be able to do your job without worrying about the counters, which makes, all in all, I think Wrecking Ball probably the best tank to play in ranked as soon as your teammates know how to play around him anyway. Because what good Wrecking Ball play does is realistically force the enemy to go trade your backline. That's the best thing they can do. Because if you do outplay the stuns and sleeps and everything else, you're very likely to get kills on those dives, even if they try to peel. So they're better off just going aggro on you, because that's really the downside to playing Wrecking Ball. He's not very good at going back and playing defensive. He doesn't have a defense matrix to keep his teammates alive, right? He only has offensive tools. Which is why oftentimes when I get in these games playing ball, get in these situations where they have like a Roadhog solo tank, because their tanks just get sick and tired of me manipulating them and just putting them out of position constantly, so they just go to something they can defend themselves. And it ends up kind of working out for them, because in this third stage of the map, I actually had to swap here, because the enemy start to put really difficult to kill characters on the cart while sending divers at our backline. Because we're playing Ana and Soldier, for a few minutes here, our team struggles to have enough punching power to clear the cart off quick enough before the respawns come in to stall it, and don't sustain well enough on our backline because we just don't have any peel, really. We only have attack. So either I or my Winston teammate needed to go to Diva to blow up the flankers, matrix the hooks, that sort of stuff. Or you can play Rhine Zari here and get them onto cart, and those two tank ultimates likely will clear off enough members in one swoop that you will be able to cleanly get the objective. But we end up getting it anyway, mainly because the defense, for whatever reason, the last fight plays defensive rather than offensive, despite it working for them for 4 minutes. But then here on our defense, we're hitting kind of a snag. Because I don't know about you guys, but it seems in my games, Sombra is just a DPS nobody ever wants to play, no matter how required she is in the situation. And because of that, I find these points where I'll be playing tank and not really having a good answer to the doom from my position. So once in a while, I will swap over to give us a 3 DPS comp, because really the threat of the hack is one of the only things that can threaten the enemy team from just hardcore Wing towards you nonstop. And there's like 10 reasons for that. Yeah, you can think about maybe playing Roadhog, but 8-second cooldown hook, if you miss it, you're done. And you might not even get the insta-kill anyway, whereas Hack is on a really short cooldown. Even if it gets interrupted, you go fully invisible and they can't see you coming, don't know where you are, they jump in, you press right-click, and they can't use their abilities anymore. See, a lot of people in the community say Sombra's overpowered, and I definitely think she's one of the best characters in the game right now. But at the same time, heroes like my boy Wrecking Ball or Doomfist, in comparison, would just sort of take over the game if she wasn't as strong as she is. Maybe we get a Hack duration nerf by a second or so. That probably would be pretty fair. 6 seconds feels like an eternity not to have your cooldowns. Our defense was starting to look pretty good, but since we over-invested towards going against flanker characters, the enemy actually counterpicks us pretty well. They start to go to a bunch of ranged threats, and that's just going to whittle down from afar. When they had Tracer and Doomfist, I was always a threat to hack them as they try to dive into us, but if they just stand from afar and impose a ranged advantage, they're going to deal more damage than our solo healer can heal, which is a call I hear a lot in matchmaking when the enemy have a solo healer. Everyone wants to just dive them and hardcore commit for them, when realistically, if you do the math, if they only have one healer, usually it's better not to dive them and just focus fire a tank or anything, because they physically shouldn't be able to out heal two targets shooting at the same thing. So don't lose a positioning advantage just to overcommit to go trade for a healer. It's not worth it. If you hold good positioning, you should be able to out damage any healer in the game, really. Because when they have one healer, they usually have more threats. Because whether it's an extra tank or DPS, that means they have more damage dealers, so diving in almost guarantees you're going to die. And while we're giving out random tips, another thing I notice, especially when I fall away from my rank peak, so I was in a situation here where I didn't give instructions for what my team had to do, nor did I stall the objective myself because I was going for frags on the back end. But if you're in the situation where you're coming back, swap to Wrecking Ball, swap to Doomfist, swap to Tracer. Diva's pretty good. Baptiste throws an immortality field. There's all sorts of things you can do. So look to your hero pool and pick a run back character that's going to come back to the cart just to touch it. That was really key for the enemy on their defense on third. They just had these really fast characters that as long as one of them got back to touch, well, you can't win the game. So make sure you're doing that. It's huge because we win a team fight but lose the objective there because nobody gets to the cart fast enough. If you don't have your support ult, just swap to Lucio if you don't have one. And if you're pretty much anybody, just swap the ball. DPS, support, doesn't matter. Whoever that first guy back is needs to come back with that big overshield to stall the objective. And after that, because they didn't have to use ults to get the objective, they got it for free. They have a massive ult advantage going into third. And I make a pretty big mistake here with my translocator. I have it way too far out of the fight in the previous location, so I'm caught out of position, and the enemy get third in one team fight, which has just never happened. Again, the same stalling stuff. And I'd say you'd be surprised in ranked how often misunderstanding like a few key concepts, such as picking stall when they get to a checkpoint, changes your entire game. And for me, from my perspective, it's on me too, because if I don't explain that to my team, expecting them to know it, because at higher ranks, everybody knows it, but maybe at this one they don't, then I'm going to lose too, right? Sometimes the goal of the solo player, if you intend to rise above your rank, is to actually raise up your teammates who may not understand what they're supposed to be doing in the given situation. So up against the Bastion here, because we don't have Wrecking Ball and we have Rein Zarya, well, we don't really have a great way to interact with the bunker up top other than going to point. So the enemy makes a huge mistake in a one team fight because they're so afraid of giving up any ticks here, which is not what their comp should be able to contest. They just jump down and feed into an anti-nade, and we clean it up for free. Such an amazing mistake by them. I mean, their whole formation forces down to the ground, which is what I wanted them to do when I was on Wrecking Ball. If you're playing in that spot, you have a few kill advantage. Just don't lose the fight. If you don't have anyone to stall the objective, you just don't get the objective. Because think of it this way. If you survive, kill them all, they're out of time, but they score, so what? You stop them right there. This is how these insane overtime pushes happen, because the defense is worried about giving up any objective rather than winning a fight convincingly while giving up some, that now all of a sudden the pressure valve has been lifted off and we can go take map control aggressively, and they don't really have a place to stand up, all the while the cart's just going to keep rolling and rolling. And now you've got overtime spawns, meaning that it's going to take you much longer to come back. Then all that stall shenanigans that you're able to do on the other defense doesn't even apply. And now a quick word about this soldier pick. Realistically, this shouldn't be any good, but just like our comp wasn't good against the bunker, but the enemy outplayed themselves, making it work. Instead of going their dive heroes against me, I mean, perhaps they thought I would change to the Sombra. If they did start sending Doom, soldiers' play up against dive heroes is just to run away, which is the reason why he's so good in multiple DPS comps. Like if you saw Linkser pop off for the Houston Outlaws up against the Vancouver Titans playing soldier, the way it ends up working is that there's multiple damage threats, so that even if you go chase down the soldier and he runs away, another damage threat is opened. And then if you don't chase him, well, he's adding in damage from the side that eventually adds up to a lot. He's not too convincing though as the second damage dealer. It's mainly because the defense here plays McCree and Widow, which are fair duels against soldier, rather than picking a dive hero like Doomfist, Tracer, Genji, which would make things a lot harder for me. And also they have bunker, which just isn't going to put any pressure on me at all. So as long as we play our angles right, we'll always have map control shoot down towards them, and they effectively are attempting to play a bunker comp retaking to the cart rather than holding good ground. Full map completion season, mainly just off playing a few key Overwatch fundamentals. Feels good, man. Keep in mind, we very nearly got full held on the first point if the enemy just stayed up on top, even if they let us cap 1 point. So we go into the defense here, and I assume that they're going to start playing the Doomfist again. When you have a guy that is a Doomfist player and his other heroes stop working, you can expect them to go back to their niche pick. I'm kind of the same way with Wrecking Ball. So I go to the Sombra here, but I actually missed my assignment. There's a few different ways you can play Sombra, and that's to go aggro to farm for EMP. But in my opinion, if there's too many flanker threats, you should play defensively to get a hack off on them, which is what I was doing for the majority of the defense, forcing them to swap, playing in more of a duelist playstyle, but I just mess up my duel, basically. I don't bait them in. The turret actually stops the Doom from hardcore diving in, and because of that, I out-footsie myself, get caught up against a bunch of stuns, and get wrecked. Luckily, though, the team is trying pretty hard to keep our Bastion alive, so in the chaos of a lot of these fights, he's able to clean up. And here, as I try to make a play contesting onto the objective, I do some damage to the Ana that gets followed up, but this hack on the Reinhardt actually pays off to set up for more damage from my team. We don't end up winning this fight, but if we charge ults, the enemy use theirs, I mean, they've got to complete the map. Now we're going into a fight with EMP. They've got to stay on the cart, so we're looking to be set up to easily win this one. Stalking the Tracer with permanent invis, this seems fair. Guaranteeing a hack on a Tracer usually requires you just to press the button when she's at the end of their clip. Little jump towards her confirms the hack. My teammates are already calling GG because it's just easy cleanup from here. Pretty crazy gameplay, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. And if you did, let us know in the comment section down below. If you like this post-commentary style of video, we can keep making it. If you don't like it, then hey, we won't. No harm, no foul. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave it a like. It really does help us out. Let's know that you're enjoying the content. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell icon so you actually get notified when our videos go live. Link to the description is our Twitter, where we tweet out news, updates, dank memes, and Overwatch League predictions. That's been it for me. I've been Freedo for your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.